For the Q&A, sometimes we run out of time because you guys have such amazing questions for our guests. Don't worry, he's going to be here all day. He's also got a table out front. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce someone that I've known for years and who's a fantastic member as well as coach and everything else he does. Gordin Shore. I'm going to read a bit about him. He says sometimes it sounds like I'm reading an obituary, but no, it's a really fantastic biography. Gordin Shore is a working actor and coach based in the Beaches. Around his own acting, he's available 24/7 to take care of most of your actor needs, including audition coaching, self-tapes, set preparation for book jobs, and private one-on-one training for beginner to veteran kids, teens, and adults. I know I've called him at 3 a.m. in the morning. In the 18 years Michael has been a full-time coach, he's helped actors book work well over 1,000 jobs. He's got 47 years of training and real-world experience on stage as well as in front of and behind the camera. And he's been dubbed by a number of press outlets as one of Canada's top audition coaches and one of Canada's most appreciated acting teachers. He's also an award-winning independent short film director and co-producer of a triple award-winning independent film feature. Michael has worn many hats in the industry, and he has numerous ACTRA, IATSE, DGC, equity, casting, directing, and producing credits. And that's the boring part. Now here's the good part. As an actor, he's booked 18 jobs in the last 3 years, including Suits, Designated Survivor of the Strain, Taken, Zombie at 17, Mayday, Rain, Paper Year, Alias Grace, Lethal Soccer Mom, The Sweetheart, and many others, plus 3 ghost jobs, a commercial, and a play. In the same past 3 years, his clients have booked hundreds of jobs, including leads, recurring characters, guest stars on shows like Law & Order, SVU, Chicago Fire, Kim's Convenience, Taken, People of the Earth, The Umbrella Academy, Shazam, and with an E, Handmaid's Tale, Working Moms, Odd Squad, Degrassi Next Class, and The Magic School Bus Rides Again. He told me to do that. But that's amazing, right? He has coached dancers and teams of dancers onto America's Best Dance Crew and Canada's Got Talent. And Michael has also been a judge for the Canadian Screen Awards, the Joeys, and Toronto Wet Fest. So without further ado, here's Mr. Gordin Shore again.
Good morning. You're good there. I'm just moving this one because I don't feel like sitting down. Thanks for coming. It's really early. Thank you guys for taking the risk and asking to get involved. You got picked because the first day ACTRA blasted this thing out, you went on Twitter and you wrote, "I just signed up for this and I had never heard of you before." And aside from a few of the actors that I know who said that they were going to commit and sign up for this, you are literally the only public stranger who made a squeak that I noticed. And I just want to encourage you guys to have the guts to say, "Hey, I'll do that," because if you don't, then we're not going to know. Hey, Adam, how are you? And look, I mean, I got her in the room, and then maybe I wouldn't have even noticed. So do whatever you need to do to get into the room. Nerves, let's start with that. For starters, I mean, I'm an actor. I've been acting since I was a little kid. Coaching started for me by accident. I love doing it. It makes me feel good. It pays my bills, it supports my acting, but at the end of the day, the reason that I love coaching so much is because I'm in the studio all day, every day, honing my own skills as an actor. I'm constantly trying to improve, I'm constantly trying to build my own career bigger, and in working with other actors, not only does it make me a better teacher, but being a better teacher makes me a better actor, and then being a better actor makes me a better teacher, and it all kind of loops and loops and loops. So, I'm not standing up here behind my podium from on high, guru. I am an ACTRA member. One of the great things about this year's conference is how many of the sessions are being led by ACTRA members, by actors, not by, I may be an acting teacher, there's a lot of ACTRA members who also support themselves by teaching or coaching or doing self-tapes like I do. But we're actors, we're you. In the last 3 years, at the 18 jobs that I booked, I think 5 of them were actor roles. So who's my competition? If you're between 30 and 65, male or female, and any race, put your hand up. Great, I'm your competition. So as I go in for that actor role, and you're going in for the same actor role, it behooves you to bring your best. I don't book every job I go in for. Sometimes I go in and I audition against my own clients. Sometimes I'll put in a self-tape, and then 2 hours later, I'm shooting a self-tape for one of my clients for the same role. We're all in the same boat. If I don't get it, I hope you get it. That's my feeling, okay? So let's talk about nerves. I think one of the most valuable things, look, this is a 2-hour thing. Anybody who's worked with me knows that I can take a 3-line actor scene and coach it for 2 hours. So I'm gonna try and get through a tremendous amount of material today, give you a ton of information by talking 3,000 miles an hour, and hope that it sinks in. Like Angelica said, I do have a table out there. I'm gonna hang out all the way through lunch, so if anybody wants to talk, we can keep on going until the next session starts. So let's start with nerves and owning the room. Often actors will make the mistake of thinking that this incredible performance, your believable acting ability, we buy you as the character, that's all there is to it, or even most of the job. I'm here to tell you that in my opinion, which weighs about that much, your opinion was just as valuable as mine. In my opinion, the skillful and believable delivery of the scene is maybe 20 or 30%. We're looking at 10 actors or 12 actors for a role, and the truth is, if casting has done their job, any of us can do it. Any of the 10 people that they brought in can do an equally good job. So how do we bend into our will? Do we just throw up our hands and go, what's the matter with looks, so why should I even bother trying? I can't do that. My entire career, I have been blessed to book somewhere between 25 and 30% of my auditions, decade after decade after decade. And I'm auditioning it generally against 10 or 12 other people, so I should only be booking 8 to 10% maximum, and I'm booking 3 or 4 times that amount. That means I'm doing everything I can do to bend them to my will. I'm making sure I look right. I'm making sure the way I walk into the room isn't making anybody nervous or uncomfortable. I'm making sure that the camera op loves me, the sound person loves me. When I'm on set, if the DOP, if the lighting people are coming up to me going, dude, I'm so glad you're here. It's like just so relaxing because you know your job in all the different departments. My job in general is to reassure them that it is just easier to hire me than to keep on looking. And if I can convince them of that in the 3 minutes that I have, then I'm a lot closer to booking a job than I should have been statistically, okay? Yes, I need to do a great audition, for sure, but at least half the other actors who are auditioning are going to also. So I gotta do more than that. So, how many people feel nervous when they go into audition? Great, literally every single person except one guy at the end of the line of the actors who are here today. Right, thank you, Mark. I'm here too. The room messes with our heads. We are high on adrenaline. We do the best we can, but if the room messes with you, well, set's gonna mess with you too. Until you're incredibly experienced, set will mess with you. The size of the lens, the number of people watching you. So I want to go back to theater school for a second. I had a theater teacher named Penelope, and she walked up to me one time. I was getting ready for a play, and I had kind of my intense face on, and she said, "Mike, what's up?" I'm like, "I don't know, I'm nervous about this." And she's like, "Nervous? How do you know you're nervous?" And she says, "How do you know you're nervous?" So I said, "Okay, well, how do we know we're nervous? What are the physiological signs if I'm nervous?"
Dry mouth.
Dry mouth. Okay, so clearly I'm nervous today. My heart's racing, my stomach's flip-flopping, I'm a little shinier than I'd like to be. It's the lights. I'm not nervous, it's the lights. So she says to me, "Okay, Mike, so you're recognizing your body's having some physiological symptoms. Your heart's racing, your stomach's flip-flopping, your palms are sweaty, you feel like you want to throw up. Okay. And then you're noticing those physiological signs and you want to control it, so you want to hang a label on it. So because you're an artist, you're not going to say something positive about yourself, you're going to find a negative label on it. So you're going to hang a negative label on it, you're going to call it nervous. Now that you've called it nervous, now you really are nervous because now you finally understand what's going on." But she says to me, "Mike, what happens to you when you are excited and you're pumped for something, you're so juiced?" And I'm like, "My heart races, my palms get sweaty, my stomach flip-flops." So adrenaline makes us feel these things, and then we look for something to call it so we can control it, and we call it nerves. So she says, "Mike, even if you're lying to yourself, next time you think you're feeling nervous, just say, 'I'm not nervous, I'm excited.' I'm pumped. Be nervous if you're completely unprepared. If you do not know what you're doing. If your life is in danger, yes. But if you know what you're doing, and you're well prepped, and you're good at your job, you're pumped, you're not nervous. Your adrenaline is pumping. So, as we go forward today, I know that every single person here, myself included, has adrenaline pumping today. So we're going to try as hard as we can to put a mask on that and make sure they don't see this. This is my uh-oh face. And somebody was talking to me the other day about this. They're like, you know, acting, how tight am I? Can I go really, really tight on this? That's fine, thanks. They were talking to me about film and television acting and how subtle everything is until the actor suddenly forgets what they're doing. That's your uh-oh face. Okay, we all got it, and we never want them to see it ever, if possible. So we're gonna do our best to stay away from uh-oh face, no matter how sideways things go. Cool? All right, quickly moving on. Who's been to a party where they don't know anybody? Ooh. Okay, awkward social situation. So, I walk in the front door, I scan the room, there's like nobody, okay? What do you do now? For the next minute, maybe 2 minutes, we all know in 5 or 8 minutes you'll either find a bar or you'll force yourself to talk to a stranger. You'll be fine, unless you have some fairly serious issues, you'll be fine relatively soon. That first 2 minutes, if I put a camera on the door and film everybody who comes in, so this is nerves, all right? If we put it under a microscope, it is not our most flattering side. So I need to hide that, okay? The awkward party guest is what most actors bring into the audition. No matter how prepared they are, they come in wanting to be liked, wanting to please, wanting to find out what you want so that they can give it to you. We put ourselves, we lower ourselves and put us into the submissive position of the awkward party guest, and what it does is it makes other people uncomfortable and nervous. It makes them worry about us, it makes them not trust us, and it makes them concerned that if we're like this in the audition room, we're going to be like on set. So, years ago, my boss at the time taught me this metaphor that I now call the duck. I was doing event coordination, helping out the standardized patient program out in BC. We were running a huge medical exam. We had about 300 actors, about 300 doctors, and about 500 potential doctors who were getting their exam done. So I'm like working a room like this, telling everybody, you know, coffee's over there, and the bathrooms are there, and the coat check. And I had this on my face, and I wasn't aware of it. I can be a little intense sometimes. I need my friends to remind me, just lighten up. So I had this on my face. All right, we're gonna do this, and Mark saw it on me this morning too, didn't you? When you came in. It's my I'm not quite ready face. So my boss pulls me aside after, and she says, listen, you're doing everything right, you gotta just relax a little bit. Here's what you need to accomplish. How you do it, we're all gonna have our own path for it, okay? But this is what we need to accomplish. She says, imagine a duck gliding across a glassy pond. What does everybody see? A duck gliding across a glassy pond. What's going on underneath the surface? But nobody can see that. We gotta make sure that nobody can see that. All they can see is the duck on the surface. The rest of it is our homework. It's our underwear, it's our slip, it's our technique, it's our issues. That's our stuff to deal with. Does that make sense? So, back to the awkward party guest. There's few things in life that make me more uncomfortable than walking into a situation where I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. So a few years ago, based on this duck thing, I said, okay, well, what happens if I just pretend it's my party? Okay, and that's when I started polishing this. This is what I call my host face. Now, when I'm at home watching TV by myself, I look like this. If I come onto somebody's face and talk to them with this, they're either going to interpret me as aggressive or nervous, depending on their filter. So, because I want to protect them from that, I put on my host face. My host face means, it's cool, don't worry about it. How am I doing? Don't worry about it, bro. How you doing? okay? If all of my focus is on my scene partner, who is my casting director, my reader, my fake eyeline that I want to fall in love with me from the wall, if all of my focus is on my scene partner, I have 0% left to have focus on myself, and that imploding, awkward thing is gone. So is the gear, the lights, the camera. Yes, the adrenaline is still there, and the room will mess with you, and so will set until you're really, really experienced, but you'll be able to still do your job well without uh-oh faces and awkward party guests, which is never, ever going to be our most attractive sign. Does that make sense? So, I'm going to do a little exercise, and I'm going to ask Angelica to help me. We're going to run a casting session. I am auditioning for the role of the babysitter. In fact, I need a mom. Is there a mom in here that has a kid that's 3, 4, maybe 5 tops? Would you please stand next to Angelica? Or go hang out next to her, and you two are my lovely couple. So here's the situation. You guys have a baby. You want to go see a movie tonight. You need a babysitter. You're going to hire a babysitter. We're going to run it like a casting session, but at the end of the day, all you're doing is deciding which of these 3 babysitters you're going to hire. Can we put me into here? I'm not going to move. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to walk into frame. You can just log off. Who's been to an audition, usually they're commercials, almost always, where they ask you a question after you slate. What's your favorite movie? Do you have any hobbies? Tell me something about yourself. Anybody? Okay, so that's what we're doing. It's called the informal interview. Sometimes they call it a personality slate. We usually only see it in commercials, or occasionally I'm in a callback and the director actually is interested in talking to me. So what do we want to do? We don't want to give the information, and in general, we want to tell a little story. We want to just kind of, I don't know, people to hang out with, because they're trying to figure out if they can stand working with us for 20 hours a day. So not that they really care. So I'm going to come in, Angelica's going to run this like a casting session, get me to slate, then she's going to throw me a question. I'll answer the lens, which is where we should throw these things. And then when we're done, she'll say thank you and I'll leave. Wait a few seconds and the next babysitter comes in. You ready? You ready? Hi, thank you so much for having me in. Hi, really, I just, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you. Sure, absolutely. Hi, I'm Mike Shore.
So, Mike, are you a good babysitter?
Yeah, I'm a really good babysitter. I've been doing it since I was a little kid, and I have a younger sister, and our mom is a single mom. Hang on, sorry. Sorry, I know this at home. And so when my mom was working and stuff, I had to help my little sister make sure that her homework was done and that she ate and got to school on time and stuff like that. And I'm a really good babysitter, and if I had an opportunity to get this job, I could do it really well. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me in. I really appreciate it. This is a wonderful opportunity. Thank you. I should leave now, right? Okay, babysitter number 2. Hey, what's up? How you doing, huh? Sure, no problem. Hey, how you doing? I am Michael Shore. You are never going to forget this guy.
So, Mike, are you a good babysitter?
Am I a good babysitter? Are you kidding? Okay, for starters, it's babysitting. I've been doing babysitting since I was like a little kid. I've written 23 books on babysitting. You go down to the local college. I've been teaching a bunch of classes down there, you know. So I mean, you could probably save yourself $1 an hour by hiring some kid who doesn't really know what they're doing. But if you want the best of the best, you're looking at it right here.
Thank you for coming in.
You are welcome. All right, ready? Hey, how you doing?
Michael, please leave.
Sure. Hey, how you doing? I'm Michael Gordin Shore.
So, Mike, are you a good babysitter?
Yeah, it's babysitting. I don't know. I've been doing it since I was a kid. let's see, when I was a teenager, I was a counselor at camp. I'm an acting coach around my own acting, so I work with a lot of kids and teens. Haven't killed or lost any of them yet. Oh, my little sister has a peanut allergy, so she's an EpiPen. I managed to not break her, and she's doing great. So, yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. All right, so who's getting the job? I'm gonna ask you. You got the mic, you're the mom, you don't know the exercise. Who's getting the job?
Definitely the last guy.
Okay, so let's work with process of elimination. This guy, the first babysitter. What's wrong with him? You're right. Talk, you got a microphone in your hand. What's wrong with him? Why didn't you hire him?
Oh yeah, totally nervous and
Okay.
made me uncomfortable.
Made her uncomfortable. That's what lost me the job. The first babysitter is by far the most qualified. By far the most qualified. And I made her so nervous that if she hired me, she'd be calling me every 8 minutes the whole night making sure I didn't burn the house down. I screwed myself. I shot myself in the foot. I had that job, and I came in so awkward party guest that I managed to turn her off and make her not want to be on set with me for 18 hours. She wants to take a shower when I leave the room. It's gross. Okay. Second babysitter. This guy. Hey, how you doing? What's wrong with him?
So full of himself.
Right? Can you believe one time I actually did this for somebody and she said, I'd hire the second babysitter. He's got backbone. I was like, seriously? I can just imagine your relationship history. So the second babysitter is to everything. As far as I'm concerned, the second babysitter is the first babysitter. It's the flip side of the same coin. When you walk into that awkward social situation, you got two ways you can go. You can implode, or you can explode and pretend this isn't bothering you when it's so obvious that it is. Both of those guys look nervous to me. Third babysitter. As far as I'm concerned, the third babysitter is getting the job mostly because he isn't the first babysitter or the second babysitter and there are no other options. So half the time, all I gotta do to get the job is not screw it up like the other actors are doing. Don't come in unprepared. Don't come in prepared and then sabotage yourself by acting like awkward party guest or overconfident, totally nervous party guest who's trying to pretend that he's not nervous. Just take the focus off yourself, put it on the other people in the room, and host. So that when I walk into the room, instead of that guy, I'm walking in the audition room, I'm sweating, my hands are sticky, my heart's doing 120, I'm not lying, I'm not pretending I'm not nervous or under adrenaline or whatever you want to call it. As I'm walking in the room, I'm not paying attention to myself, I'm paying attention to everybody else. My job as a host is not to be Ryan Seacrest and entertain you. My job as a host is to make sure I don't make you uncomfortable. The minute I make you uncomfortable, I'm done. Okay? So this is huge. Hosting is huge. And I want everybody, a couple of people, full disclosure, two of these actors I have worked with before many times. One of these actors I've had the pleasure of working with on set, and 4 of these actors I have never met before. So I went to the mix. So what we're gonna try really hard to do, because we're all nervous, there's a lot of people here, there's a lot of lights, this is not a natural situation. We're gonna try, bring our host face in, not our overconfident jerk, just our nice, comfortable host face, so that nobody can see that your hands are shaking, or nobody cares. Does that make sense? So that's it. I just want to see if there's anything else I want to talk about. Face. I want to show you maybe a 40-second or a 1-minute clip. We're going to get ready to show the Cougar Life clip, but don't play it yet, please. What I'm going to show you is a commercial for a website, a dating website. Everybody that's in this room, almost, there's maybe 15 people in here that there's no audition for in this commercial. But for almost everybody else, there are roles you could have auditioned for. I'd be the sandwich guy. You'll know what I mean in a minute. And I want you to look at the actor who auditioned for one of the roles that you could have auditioned for and ask yourself about their choices. Is it the hair toss? Is it the wobble? It's very over the top. But that's not the reason I'm showing it to you. The reason I'm showing it to you is because the woman who's the lead in it is not an actor. She's the woman who started the website. And the second clip is going to show her incredibly uncomfortable on green screen, trying to get one version of a tagline for a commercial. And she is imploding. Anybody here ever seen The Winnebago Man? Yeah. Okay, she's not doing that. She's not imploding and making it worse. She's making a joke. Every time she makes a mistake or feels uncomfortable or doesn't know what to do, she makes a joke, which makes everybody in the room laugh and not mind that this took 3 extra seconds. Not only that, but when she finally does nail it, she gives us a useful one, not one that's polluted with self-abuse because she screwed it up 14 times already. We only need one, okay? Can we play the Cougar Life, please?
Mr. 30, school's out. The whole world, the whole world belongs to the woman. You and I, we just live in it. I said the world belongs to the woman. And it's true.
Here's me.
You see that working.
Boys, it's easy to date a woman like me.
And it's true. You see that working.
Welcome to the Cougar Life.
So watch how well, let's just let that keep rolling if you don't mind. There's about 8 seconds of black and then there's another little clip in there. So let's watch this non-actor who has to host. It's her website. If she doesn't make you feel welcome coming there, you're gonna go join a different website. Word. No?
Yeah.
Hey, there she is.
I'm Claudia, president of dating service. What did I? Damn it. I'm not growing. I'm not growing. How do you like my hand? I was still like. Meet women like me at CougarLife.com. Voted the wildest dating service in America.
So look, the bottom line is we only need one. So what happens when actors start screwing up is the first screw up makes us go to here. The second screw up makes us go to here. The third screw up makes us go to here. And then when we finally get through it, it's lousy because it came from here and not from here. If we keep our host face on, then we can survive and we can make sure that we give them good stuff. Almost, not every one, but almost every single one of these scenes has the opportunity to be hosting even within the scene. Okay? Lead characters come up to us, I'm the bartender, and I'm supposed to give them information instead of blocking them. Hey, how you doing? Can I get you a drink? Oh yeah, that was terrible. Hey, listen, the last thing I heard was she was down at this other hotel, and I don't know, man, go talk to Steve down there, maybe he can help you out. We're almost always hosting. Some scenes don't involve hosting, but the slate does. The walking in the room does. The finishing the audition and going, hey, thanks for bringing me in and getting out of here without making an idiot out of myself. That's all hosting. I start on the TTC or in my car. I do not stop until I'm back in that thing. I don't drop my host face in the hallway. I don't drop it in the waiting room. I don't know who they are. They know who I am. My picture's up at their place, and they're watching me. When you think they're not watching you, that's when they're watching you the most carefully. So you got to keep that on all the time. Make sure you don't drop the door and that person, behind you coming out of the bathroom, you could have just lost yourself the job by being rude. Does that make sense? So the actual amazing acting is such a slim part of this. But yes, of course that has to be great, but all this other stuff has to be great too. So we're going to, how are we doing for time?
We're still good.
Yeah, we're still good. All right. As an actor, we're going to get our video number 2 standing by, the spinning plates one. As an actor, there's a lot of things that I'm doing all at the same time as I'm standing on my mark and I'm acting. What are some of the things that film and television actors are doing while they're on the mark? You gotta remember, I'm only talking about auditions for today, and I'm not gonna ignore set because it gets a little different in certain situations. I gotta remember my lines. I gotta listen. I can't be like rocking back and forth like this. These are simple things. Tell me a few, just shout out a few of the things that actors are doing. Trying not to sweat. Breathing. Reading really helps a lot. What else? Somebody else? Anybody? Focus. What else? Know your eye lines. That means your fake eye lines as well as who is the reader, if your reader is part of a group of people in the scenes. Great one. What else?
Listen.
Listen. I'm going to throw down a few more. Hang on a sec. Sorry?
Ask about frame.
You know what? The truth is, I never ask about frame. I always ask about frame when I'm on set. I never ask about frame when I'm in an audition. Am I here now, basically? No, because I can see on a monitor. Listen, we're dealing with a camera operator that isn't shooting auditions all day long. This is an audition frame. Occasionally, it'll be here. Occasionally, it'll be here. But roughly, we always shoot around here, okay? That means that if I want to start off on a computer at the beginning, well, I can get away with a little bit of under the edge of frame line. But we're supposed to know that around here, hang on. One of my favorite props. A long time ago when I started studying martial arts, my sifu said to me, if you're going to do something, this is an art form. If you're going to do something, make it beautiful. So I said, okay, I have this frame. This frame is a window. I'm standing behind a giant wall, and the only hole that I have in the wall is this window. So two things happen. One, all I can see is through this window. If I'm going to fake eye line, I'm going to make sure it's in this window because fake eye lining over there doesn't help me see out the window and it doesn't help you see me. Everything has to fit in this window. And it's my responsibility, if I'm going to put this in the window, to make sure that it's beautiful. We're doing an art form that's been practiced for thousands of years. We're not memorizing 3 lines and going to set, okay? It's more than that. So, we should know our frames. When we're on set, it's a reasonable question to ask the camera op, how wide is my frame? Because the truth is, when I'm really tight, I can't move at all. When I'm really wide, if I stand here like this, which is how I'd have to be if I was in an ECU, it looks weird because there's not enough natural human movement. So, I do about 5 minutes a year or 2 ago, and I just jotted down a list of all the things that I'm trying to juggle. And this is based on my own training, and the truth is I could sit down with an actor who's trained differently than me and triple this list in 15 minutes. Here are some of the things I'm doing simultaneously while I'm on the mark. Lines, breathing, listening, keeping my attention on my scene partner or partners, reaction shots, acting with your full body, not rocking, not wandering, hitting marks, walking in and out of frame, rules of using a chair. Size of performance, being too over-animated, being too under-animated, genre, mouth tension, face tension, body tension, eyebrow tension, shoulder tension, eyebrows going all over the place, staring, deer in the headlights, holy crap face, blinking too much, squirming, fidgeting, what do I do with my hands, swallowing, face touching, hair touching, other self-touches and gesture work that I need to be in control of, not dropping my transitions every 5 seconds. Good fake eyeline work. Controllable emotional transition work that you're in the 4 eyes, which Kathleen probably knows, but I don't think anybody else would in this room. The blocking and the choreography of the scene. Wait. The blocking and the choreography of the audition process. Anticipating and taking redirection, shifting between drastically different emotional states between different scenes. Diction, moment after moment before, making it audition friendly. Hosting, we talked about that. Body language. Little shifts. Whoa, dude, relax. Like, really? You seriously want to do that to me? Like, even from 40 feet away, this is powerful stuff. And on camera, for me to go, excuse me? Sure you want to do that? That's huge! Okay? Timing, which may or may not mean comedic timing, right pace for the scene, right pace for the genre, relationship with my scene partner. What's the situation? Let's talk about other things I learned in theater school. What about my education? How much money I have? My worldview? Am I honest? Am I being manipulative? Other acting teachers talk about actions, verbiage, overall objective, scene objective, beat changes, taking a beat. Substitution partner word strategies, tactics. How hot is it? How cold is it? Am I shot, injured, or having a heart attack? And last, on my little list, The skillful and believable portrayal of the character under the given circumstances. Do we buy you? That is the acting part. My feeling is that most actors focus almost exclusively on that and hope no one will notice that they don't have any control over their technical game. So we all need to raise the bar, and we all need to get better at these skills, okay? That's what we do. Talking about auditioning here today, we're not talking about working on set. The reality is that on set, it is an even more precise technical exercise. It's an absolutely precise technical exercise, okay? All right, so let's move on. I can think of, plate spinning. So, I want to pop up the video of the plate spinners, okay? First thing you're going to see is a game show where we see a professional plate spinner manage to spin 10 plates at a time.
The guy that's a perfect beginner, a Jenny Gang winner, the old plate spinner.
So he's pretty good. He can do 10 at a time, okay? So I'm going to count them off from our list. All right, no problem with the lines. This guy's a professional. He can say his lines and be breathing at the same time. Here's his listening. But, to be honest, every once in a while he's going to have to go back and scan his body and make sure here's his acting with his full body. Oh, but he realized I'm not breathing. I got to scan my body for shoulder tension, breathe that out, get myself back on the rails over there. Great, he can work frame friendly. He can make his work audition friendly, which means he hears a noise behind him, but I put the noise over there so the camera can still see me. All right, blah, 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 blah. So this guy's a master. He can do 10. How many things do I have on my list here? Like 70? And I'm telling you, this is just a few minutes of jotting down a few ideas. Okay, so we're very impressed. This guy can get to 10. I wish I could just fast forward this part. It's only 3 more seconds. Don't worry about it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring up some people from the audience who have no plate spinning experience. I call these acting students, okay? Let's start with beginner acting students, because we all start at the beginning. So, here's a guy that can't remember his lines and just can't even get through the scene. I mean, that's where we all started. She can kind of get through the scene, but it's just about it. He can't get through his lines. She's got her lines down, but she can't stop moving. You know, great, she's got her lines down, she can't stop moving, and that's it. She's good for 2. He finally made it through the scene. Just with the lines and forget everything else. Okay, that's pretty good, and we all got to start somewhere. But that's not our objective. Our objective is this. This is what my sequel means when he says if you're going to do something, do it beautifully. It's not about the plates. We're blown away by the plate spinning for the first 30 seconds and then we stop noticing them. They're flower petals. We take them for granted. The extraordinary things that we're watching people do, and then we stop looking at the plates and we start asking ourselves how she even got up there in the first place. Are both of her feet upside down 5 inch end? Are she going to get down? Oh yeah, like that.
Oh my God.
Okay, this is what we do as professional actors. Not only do we spin 5 plates, but we get so far past that that we tell beautiful stories and we create beautiful moments and people stop seeing the plates. They shouldn't be noticing our technique. But if the technique isn't there, well then you're, at best, that professional from the first video who can do 10 at a time like this. There's nothing particularly beautiful about the way he does it, but he did manage to do it. So listen, bottom line is I can talk about any of these things for 3 hours. So let's move on to the actors. We're just looking at it like a workshop today. I could coach any of these scenes for 2 hours. We're gonna get about 10 minutes per person in order to get through everybody. The idea of today is to have fun, try some stuff. I want you to try putting your host face in the way you come up here, in the way you handle yourself. I want you to steal from that non-actor how to handle yourself when you get into trouble. The reason that my thing of all day that I don't know, I call it Michael Gordin Shore's Get Cast. CAST is an acronym for Chameleon Audition Survival Training. It's not about being good at the stuff. It's about what are you going to do when the ground goes out from underneath you, everything goes sideways, your lines get changed, someone hands you a new monologue, we're shooting in 11 minutes, go. How are you going to survive this and still give them good enough stuff to put in a TV show? We need to get our skill set really ramped up before we get there, and then we need to understand that when we're out in the real world working, we're adjusting. Craig, when we did that Mayday episode, do you remember how much improvising there is? Like, this isn't working, let's add a line. Hey, we need to make up a really important technical line. Memorize it. You have 4 seconds. Now we're rolling camera, shoot it. I watched that episode, I'm stunned at how much I remember everything we're making up, and like they're asking us to, but I mean, we had to make it work because the way it was written wasn't working. So I'd like to move on to the actors. Okay, so it's going to take about 2 minutes to move the world around. Yeah, I think you're actually pretty good where you are. I just want to make room for the camera. Relax, check over your lines. I'd like to get, okay, so we got a light, we're gonna need about 2 minutes. All right, I got a few things that I made a list of, so don't start like killing time because I got to fill this. All right, here's a few things that I would love to cover if I had a million years. Maybe they'll come up in the Q&A, and I'll just throw some stuff out while these guys get set up, okay? Memorizing. How do we deal with memorizing? We got to get really, really good at memorizing. How many people in here dream of becoming an actor that never says more than 3 lines? Really? Okay. Anybody in here ever actually do a recurring role or a large role, like or a lead role in a series? How uncommon is it for you to be shooting 8 or so pages a day?
10 to 12.
10 to 12 pages a day. How many days a week, Tola?
6.
Oh, 6 days a week, 10 to 12 pages. How many weeks did you do that for?
96 episodes.
96 episodes. So figure 8 months a year. You're working 6 days a week. You're memorizing 10 pages a day. When are you memorizing 10 pages a day? Between shots and over lunch while you're shooting 10 pages a day today?
Late nights.
Pretty much. So that is a skill we all need to develop, and it's not something, some people have these photographic memories, whatever, they're blessed. Most of us have to work very, very hard to develop the ability to absorb this much information so fast when we're sleep deprived. So we need to be able to do that. There's no shortcut for that. I can't give you a pill that like, whoa, I do Kung Fu. It doesn't work that way. Okay, the more scenes you memorize, the more classes you take, the more at the end of every year, if you look back, you see, how many scenes did I memorize and perform at full performance size this year? Was it 20, was it 30, was it 150? Get as many under your belt as you can, because the more often you do it, the faster you get at it, the more efficient you get at it, the less work it takes to be able to do it. Because working 16-hour days and then having to go home and spend 4 hours refocusing your stuff for tomorrow because the writers changed everything and wrote you a new monologue is what you want. If you want big parts, that is what you're asking for, so please make sure you're ready when they come. Thoughts, things that might come up in a Q&A. Become a scripted type. Meticulous attention to detail. Neutral reader. Let me talk about that for a second. How close are we, sir?
Very close.
Okay. Can we also get this light up? Is that somebody else?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. Neutral reader. Why do readers go neutral? This is only my opinion. Everything I tell you today is my opinion. Okay, ask this guy, I'm going to tell you something different. Ask me next year, I can tell you something different. Why is the reader neutral? When I work as a reader, my job is to shovel coal into a steam locomotive. It's to throw you in the hacky sack so that you can do the cool thing that you prepared. If I start to introduce my version, my interpretation of my character's acting, that's going to screw up at least half the actors' auditions. Stephanie, let's say all these actors are auditioning for the same role. Stephanie imagines that my character is quiet and aggressive, and she builds her audition projecting that. Craig has the exact same audition. He figures out being aggressive and really direct, so he makes his choices based on that. Everybody makes their choices based on their belief that the other character is going to do things the way they imagine them. If I then get up and actually do something, most of them are going to have to throw away their plan and replace it with truthfully responding to the truth of the situation, but that's not usually the idea of the audition. The idea of the audition usually is, we want to see what you got. I don't want to screw up what you got by imposing me on it. I'm just there to help throw you lines with the right timing. It's also true that I'm a strong enough actor and an aggressive enough human being that if I'm supposed to be ripping you a new one in the scene, I could actually end up screwing up your audition, making you nervous, throwing you off in a way that wasn't what you hoped, and now I'm not helping your audition, I'm screwing it up. So the reason readers go neutral is because they're trying to help. Now, hosting, reader screws up. Our instinct is to go, oh, reader screwed up my audition. Now I look like a jerk on camera. I'm on camera, the reader's not on camera. And not only that, but as I sigh and roll my eyes and get frustrated, this poor reader who's like, I don't know, some 20-year-old like trying as hard as she or he can, I just trash them. I'm gonna make them feel bad for the rest of the day. Now they don't want to meet my eyes. What I need to do when other people screw up is the same thing I would do if they screwed up in my house. You come to my house for a party, you spill red wine on my carpet, you go, my attitude, don't worry about it, I'm gonna buy you one. I make a joke out of it, make you feel good. The reader screws up, I make a joke. Not only do I not trash that human being, who's gonna carry that for days, I accidentally make myself look decent to work with on camera. And I'm on camera, you know? So I screw up on camera. I screw up a line or something like that. Again, if I'm at your party, I spill red wine on your carpet, I feel terrible. I want to die, I want to leave, I don't want to be here. This is bad for actors. What I need to do is I need to use my host stuff. So I spill red wine. I make a mistake in my audition. I got to do what Claudia did. I got to make a joke about it so that we can move on and get our shot to make sure that the party doesn't get messed up by some little mistake. Does that make sense? Okay. Are we ready to roll?
We are ready to roll. Yeah.
Okay. You guys are awesome. Mr. Dave, oh my God. There's people out there. Thank you, everybody.